Hi there, welcome back to Save with Crypto. My name is Save with Crypto. Now, yesterday I did yet another video about Tap Global and the XTP token, and it was called Tap Global versus Wise for exchanging GBP to euros. The result wasn't what I expected, and the result wasn't what I expected because it seemed that Tap was much worse than using Wise to change GBP into euros. Now, thanks very much to LHF9526 who left this comment here. It said, I noticed a few things in the video. The exchange rate on Wise was 1.1889 and on Tap it was 1.16. Okay, so it's clear there the exchange rate was better on Wise. Okay, however, I also had 17 pence left in my GBP wallet on Tap, which makes the difference look bigger than it really was. Wise still gives you a better rate, but the difference is 1.8%, not 4%. Still a really helpful comparison. Okay, so I must admit, I didn't realise that when I said change all my money, which was £9.11, it didn't actually change it all. I did notice it wasn't the amount that it said I was going to get, but I didn't check the pound balance to see if it had all gone. And indeed, you can see here, there is actually 17 pence left in the pound balance. Okay, so this means my calculations were incorrect. So in fact, when I said I got €10.35 on Tap, it should have actually been 17 pence more than that, which is 10.52. Now you can see here that the fee to do that was 5 cents. Now, I also know now that the fee you pay on the foreign exchange fees on the plus tier is 1.49%. On the prime tier, it's 0.99%. And on the premier tier, it's 0.75%. So we can work out what the fees are for the other tiers as well. Okay, so let's do this again. So on Wise, I started with £9.11. and that got converted into €10.80. Now, on the Tap app, what I did actually convert was £8.94, which then became £10.35. But to make things easier, what I've done, I've scaled that up to say that £9.11 would have made €10.55. Okay. Now, the fee that we paid on the Wise app was 3 pence. So that is about €0.0357. Okay. So I think I've seen what they've done here. They've made it so that if you go for the top tier, then you're actually paying €0.025, which is cheaper than Wise. So that's how it looks. So upgrade your tier, you're paying less fees than you would do with Wise. Now, I thought that was really attractive, but of course, because the actual exchange rate isn't as good, then overall it's not as good. So we just need to find out if this is something worth worrying about or if it's minuscule. So with the new scaled up figures, what I would have received on my platinum tier if I had have changed £9.11, and I still don't know why it didn't do the whole lot, I would have received €10.55. Now that works out 2.31% worse than Wise. Okay. Now, if I'd have done that on the Prestige tier, it would have been 2.08 worse than Wise, which is obviously worse, but it's not so bad. It's certainly not as bad as I thought it was yesterday. And the other tiers aren't actually that bad either, really. The worst one being the Plus tier, which is 3.24. Obviously, the free one is a lot more, but I don't think anyone would seriously use that for anything rather than just dipping their toes in the water in the Tap app. Now, in my mind, Wise are the creme de la creme of all foreign exchange apps, and they are going to be the cheapest because they're a huge company and they deal with a massive volume. So, although the percentages here aren't as good as Wise, they're not too bad. However, the way they present the percentage in foreign exchange fees that you get by upgrading the tiers, I don't think is totally good, because the fees are quite small because the exchange rate isn't particularly brilliant. So if your fees are 0.25% on the prestige tier, this seems much less than the 1.49% on the plus tier. But you're not paying very much in fees, so the actual saving isn't that much. The problem being is that your exchange rate is much worse. So my conclusions about this is, for foreign exchange, it's cheaper to use Wise. However, if the convenience of having it within the Tap app is good for you, then you're not paying that much more. So if you don't want the faffing about, it's worth it. If you were only going to use the app for foreign exchange, it's probably not worth upgrading those tiers. But of course, what we all want is the cashback. And for that, it is definitely worth upgrading the tiers, which is why I've done it and why I intend to go for the Prestige as soon as I can. Anyway, many thanks to LHF9526 for pointing this out. I did say in my reply, I said, you're right, I do have 17p left. Why didn't this convert though? I'll do a follow-up video. Obviously, this is the video. LHF replied saying, yeah, weird, maybe they have a tolerance built in. You also should have 13p, not 17p left, which is even more confusing. It's little things like this that gets people irritated because they think they are getting a worse deal, but in reality, just not all your money has been exchanged. Might be a question for support. Okay, well, I think the TAP team do tend to watch my videos because sometimes they're very pro TAP, sometimes they're not, because I just do everything truthfully. I just say what I see. So TAP team, if you are watching this, then I do think this is one of those things that needs looking into a little bit. Really, when you say change all my money, it should change all your money. Obviously, I don't care much about £9.11, but obviously if I was changing thousands, then it would be a different circumstance. Now, Mark here said, what you've done really is compare the exchange rate of the one with the exchange rate of another, both of which could be bad compared with the real exchange rate. Okay, well, there is a real exchange rate, but no one gets that, so that's kind of irrelevant, really. Mark said, I would have been tempted to swap the amount you got in euros when swapping from GBP to euros back to GBP and look how much GBP you lose. I don't want to do that. I don't like losing money, even small amounts of money. If they're making a markup in one direction, they'd be making a markup in the other. I'm sure they make a markup in both, to be honest. You'd be then comparing the markups each makes. Okay, I don't really see any point in doing that, to be honest, but thanks for the comment anyway. The point being is that there's no point having GBP in your TAP app anyway, because there's nothing you can do with it, because you can't load the card with it. All you can do is transfer it out to somewhere else or change it into another currency, whether that be euros or crypto. And I did leave a comment to this effect here for Mark. Okay, so I'm pleased I've done this video because I think that does clear up the fact about the fees. I did think 4% difference was too high. 2% is much more handleable, and that's certainly going to be better than any bureau de change you see at an airport. Now, today I'm going to be on the Stonksy Indicator live stream with Dave from Stonksy Indicator. That's going to be at 1 p.m. UK time, so that's midday UTC today, the 4th of June, which is a Wednesday. If you've got any questions, then leave them in the comments down below this video. But also, if you want to ask me anything live, then please do come along to the live stream at 1 o'clock, because you can just ask me what you like there. I mean, the idea is to talk about the Stonksy Indicator, but at the same time, it's good to talk about other things. And Dave knows that I quite like talking about payment solutions and crypto related to payment solutions as well, of which, of course, XTP is one of those. So that would be really cool. So if you can come along to that, that would be really nice. In addition to that, what I really want you to do is to give this video a great big fat like. Can you do that? Have you done it? You going to? Have you done it? Oh, there you go. Thanks very much. Okay, right. Any questions, leave them in the comments down below, or come along to the live stream, or do both, actually. And while you are down there in the comments, please do make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you've got the notifications set to all. Okay, so you see my timely updates.
And above all, tell your friends.
Save with Crypto has to be one of the best YouTube channels that the United States has ever seen. Kamala Harris is not a subscriber, but I am. I have notifications set to all as well. I'd strongly suggest you subscribe to Save with Crypto today. Above all, you should tell your friends.
Save with Crypto is not a financial advisor. He just makes ice cream on the internet. If you can't find anyone to do your own research, you should do it yourself, like I did